Mark, Dallas Morning News. Mike talks a lot about attempts being the thing he looks at in the running game and the most important. Have you always been that way as well? And what are you seeing in the run game over these last 2 to 3 weeks as far as how it is built?
Yeah, I think we were both trained by the same guy, Marty Schottenheimer. Pretty big into the run game, the old ground and pound, as you guys remember. But yeah, I mean, there's always a number, that you're looking for not only rushing attempts, but rushing attempts and completions. And that number has always been 55-ish. Some people go a little higher, some people go a little lower. And that just shows you're executing well. Obviously, in this last game against a really good front, we knew we wanted to get after them a little bit in the running game. We were able to come downhill. I thought it was probably one of the most physical games we've played up front with our rushing attack. I thought the linemen were really, really good against a big, stout defensive front. Not only the initial targets and things that they were able to get to, but the way they strained and lift. There's always, when there's a collision, there's a double team that begins. Obviously, there's an initial moment where there's not much movement, and then it's whoever strains and gets lower, whether it's the offensive player or the defensive player, is really how you generate movement. And then I thought both Rico and Tony ran really, really hard. Really hard. And they were coming after the ball hard, and those guys did a terrific job of securing the football in some really violent collisions and some compression tackles. And so when we watch it again this morning, I felt it last night, just being honest, that it was a very physical run game. And then watching it again this morning, it was very true. Our guys got after it pretty good.
Going back to the running game, I was taking the running game class at the Four-Star Telegram. This is the most you judiciously use Rico and Tony interchangeably. What was the reason for that?
Yeah, there really wasn't a reason. We've always been mindful of Tony and how many touches he's getting. Rico is a guy we love to get going as well. It's always going to take more than one guy. And the cool thing is, if you watch those guys, they're really interchangeable, and they're excited when the other guy comes in, and they're their biggest cheerleader when the other guy goes in. And I know the first guy that got to Rico after the touchdown was TP. And so, again, it wasn't anything different. Long season. This is a big stretch, the third trimester, and so the play numbers were probably more like we would want them to always be. But again, TP, he's still our bell cow.
Michael Gallup, his production numbers have dropped, but how's he stayed engaged and certainly had a big game yesterday?
Yeah, been amazing. Thank you for asking that question. He's been amazing. I joked last week a little bit about he said he deserved a plaque for all of his crack blocks, which is still being ordered. But, it's like we say, these guys, they all want the ball. They all do, and that's what makes them awesome. But MG is not checked up at all. He's working hard in practice, which we love. He's doing the extra stuff that we've asked him to do, just in terms of, getting with Dak on some specialty throws and things like that. And it really does come in bunches. It just happens that way. And the play he made down the left side for the big one, if you look at it, really CD won on the other side as well. And so when you watch it, Dak's got his PSL, and he's sitting there based off the look, and he goes to MG, and unbelievable catch, and at an important part of the game. So he's been awesome and deserves the credit. And the other thing, if you go back to the Seattle game, and I pointed this out to MG when I first saw him on Monday or Tuesday, he was open a ton. The ball didn't get over there for different reasons. We were looking someplace else, but he's playing at a really high level, and it was cool to see him get some good numbers.
Brian, Todd Archer with ESPN. With the way his season started, did you ever think you would see Tyron Smith be Tyron Smith again?
I wouldn't bet against Tyron ever. I think the cool thing is I feel like we've all found a routine that we feel good about. Obviously the player knows his body better than anybody, but it is a true luxury to have a guy like that is that elite as a offensive tackle in this league, especially to the quarterback's blind side. And what I love about him is his wiring. He does not get too high, he does not get too low. He just got that steely-eyed look on his face. And when you look at him and he's looking at you like that way, and you're making some adjustments and corrections, like he is just dialed in. He just literally stares right through you. And it is an absolute joy to coach him, just because of the way he's able to perform and hold up over there on that left side. And he's a guy that I have ultimate respect for.
You guys use a lot of personnel groups, and I think you used 10, maybe more yesterday than in any other game this year. How many do you go into a game with, like personnel groups? Can you even?
Yeah, it's a good question. You usually going to have 5 or 6, normal ones. Each week we do change it up a little bit, and then there's, of course, tags that come into play. But, most teams, when you look around the league, 11s are kind of starting point, the 3 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 back, and we'll always have probably 3 or 4 primary for a game and then some auxiliary ones that we look at. But I think Mike does a great job with the openers, he and Dak, with the first calls of mixing those in and making people adjust. A lot of the openers are about not only attacking the opponent, but figuring out how teams want to play different personnel groupings. So that's a big part of moving in and out of those personnel groupings early in games.
Michael Gallup, Dallas Morning News. Tony Pollard had that pickup in pass pro on Brandon Cook's long catch there at the end of the second quarter. For you, it's been a lot of times this season where a big play, be it him, opt-in, or also Rico, they're doing that. What is most impressive to you about how consistent overall that's been, and what does it mean to your offense?
Well, that's huge. When you're watching the offense from a defensive perspective, the first thing you're trying to look at is, okay, what are our pressures that give us a chance? How do we match up against the blocking unit in general? How do we match up against the running backs? How do we match up against their 5-man, their 6-man protections? And I think those guys have both proved that when they're one-on-one, that they are, in a great spot. They're very confident. I think there's a fundamental that goes to it. It's a big part of it. I mean, how you close the distance, how you sit down in a chair, how you strike your nose on his inside pad, how you run your feet, how you replace your hands. Like, there's 1,000 little things that go into it that get drilled all the time. But at the end of the day, a lot of it is want to, and a lot of it is toughness, and a lot of it is straining, and a lot of it's, I've been around backs in my career that, as they get older or whatever, they don't love it. These guys actually love it. I mean, they take pride in it. It's important to them. And again, it's not just the blitz pickups. It's the rib shots and the contact that they can make on defensive linemen that are kind of maybe edging a guard or edging a tackle. Like, those 2 guys take a lot of pride in it, and we go out of our way as a staff to point it out, because it's a little bit like, your column. There's things that show up that it's like, hey, this was a play that didn't really get talked about. It didn't really get people buzzing around, but it made the difference of us scoring a touchdown or us hitting a big play because of something that they did away from the ball.
And Mike talked about how he was really pleased with the cadence last night. What goes into having the type of cadence that you guys want now on the road? Obviously, you shift coming up with the road game. What goes into being better in that area?
Yeah, well, I think we're really good on the road with our cadence. You got to work it. We'll obviously have crowd noise this week and do the things that everybody does, but playing on the road does not limit our ability to use our cadence, and that's the sign of a experienced group that's disciplined. I think you looked at our penalties yesterday. We had the 1 false start, but a couple of the penalties were more combative. But I think we're really good with our cadence, both at home and on the road, and it's because it's worked a ton. It's emphasized a ton, but we don't have many limitations. I've been other places, Michael, where you do have some limitations. You go on the road, you're like, I'm not really comfortable doing that motion or movement. And being quite frank, we don't have those concerns here.
Joe Hoyt, Lone Star Live. Last week on Sounds of the Sideline, CD Lamb was adamant to credit Michael Gallup for one of his touchdowns, saying that was his. Long story short, when a guy has been this selfless, I guess, as he has the last 2 weeks, how motivating is that for a team who's trying to get that 111 aspect?
Yeah, it's awesome. And again, like I say, we recognize all those plays, and it happens way more than you think. And obviously the camera and the fans are, their eyes are taught to watch the ball and see where the ball goes, and that was a really, really cool play. And it wasn't just CD that recognized it. It was Dak, it was Brandon Cooks, it was Tolbert, it was Jake Ferguson. They all saw it because, you're looking at the surfaces. The cool thing for us is whether you don't see it live or not, you can look at the surface and you can see the coverage and what they were doing. And, you saw, I think it was Quandre Diggs, right, got caught up with MG, and that allowed Dak to throw the ball up over the top of the corner for the big play. But, again, this group is incredibly selfless. They really are. And that's not in every locker room around the league. And I think that's part of why we are who we are. I know you guys have a job to do. You ask questions about, hey, early in the season, Brandon Cooks or CD or MG, but like these guys are selfless, and they want to do their part. They want to know they're involved. They're all involved. We move them all around. We talk to them about progressions. They know the quarterback's progression. But you talk about a professional, cool group of guys to work with every day. I would be selling them short if I didn't talk about how much we appreciate their selflessness, not just during the game, but during the week as well.
Side News of The Athletic. Brian, you talked about your history with Mike. You've been here multiple years with him. What is it about him, the way he runs things, his personality, whatever it is, that allows players, assistants, coordinators, whatever, to buy into the program that he's trying to build and stuff?
Unbelievably organized, but he's real. The one thing you can say about Mike McCarthy is as authentic as they come in this profession. You know, from the time he was a quarterback coach when I was with him in the late 90s in Kansas City to where he is now, he hasn't changed. He is who he is. He believes in hard work. He believes in pace of operation. You know, all those mantras that he's had have been created over many, many years. But it was really awesome when Mike came back and he walked into the offensive meeting to see the true, jubilation that the players had to see him, and it was just, it shows you how much they care and respect him, how much they love him. And that's because of the way he is. And it's just his personality and unbelievable football coach, but a even better man and human being. And I think these guys feel that. They know that. They've been around him long enough to know. He doesn't change. He's the same guy, whether we're scoring 30 points, whether we're struggling. He's the same guy, and he's very matter of fact, and they appreciate that.
And how prepared you guys were last night, how much of it is a testament to what he's kind of established? I know you, Dan, and Fossil picked up the slack during the week, but just what he's established for you guys to not really miss a beat until he came back on Sunday.
Yeah, I think it's to the staff that he's built. It's certainly a group that works well together. We all communicate well. There are no egos. Talked a little bit about the players. The staff is awesome. We certainly have debates. We certainly have things that we disagree upon, but once the decision's made, we move forward with what's best for the group. And Mike allows us to do that. I mean, Mike's that way when he's in the building. So, when something unforeseen like this comes up and he has to leave, like we don't change. We just continue business as usual. And again, I think that's a credit to him that you hire good people, you trust good people, and we all are on the same wavelength of we want to work hard, we want to put together the best plan for these guys, but ultimately put them in a position to go out and play fast because they understand what we're trying to get done, because that's what allows them to create magic on game day, is to not be out there thinking. It's to be out there reacting to what's going on against the opponent's defense.
Snyder Dixon with DAP. This is more of a league-wide philosophical question, but I wonder how you think the backup QB sort of value and role has changed through the years. And obviously the question gets asked because of the big names and the stars that have gone down this year. We have recency bias in saying that it's more valuable now than it was 20, 25 years ago, or do you think it has changed?
I think the numbers would tell you that it's probably changed a little bit, just because it seems to be that more and more backups are being put into action for different reasons. I know we believe that here, philosophically, like, hey, you can never have enough good quarterbacks. And it's just such a difficult position to train. It's a difficult position to find. If you don't have a guy and you're forced into action, like, again, I'll use Josh Dobbs. I've never coached Josh, but really impressive what he did leaving Arizona, going to Minnesota. I think he gets forced into game, maybe against Atlanta or something, right? And the guy goes out and leads him to victory. That speaks to the benefit of having experience as your backup. And then there's also the trade-off saying, okay, where's the next guy? Where's the next guy? You're always looking in the draft. You're always looking at, the transaction board, what's going on, because it is such a premier position in the league.
Nick Harris, DallasCowboys.com. I know this might be nitpicking and talking about a number one scoring offense, but you guys are near the bottom of the league in third quarter points. Is there more of an emphasis you guys could put on coming out of the half, or has that been something that's been highlighted at all?
No, I think, ultimately, like yesterday, I know we didn't start out very well. Each week is different. We go in at halftime, which is the same routine. Nothing's changed from early in the season. We were actually coming out of the half pretty well. We make the adjustments. Our players are great. Usually you talk a little bit about protection issues, then you get into the run game and the things, hey, here's what we want to do in the second half. But no, not overly concerned about it. Again, each drive is its own. And again, yesterday we came out. It was really cool to see. You love this when a team defers and you're able to take the ball and go right down the field. Like, that's a very empowering thing for the offense because they're deferring for a reason. And you kind of get a little juiced up when they do that, and then you can go out and respond. But each drive's different. And we feel really, really good, whether it's starting the game, ending the game, that we can put people away when we need to.
And then what are the challenges game planning this week and getting ready for the elements in Buffalo, whatever they may be?
Yeah, I mean, we're aware of it. I was in the division with Buffalo for a long time, being with the Jets. It's out of your control. There certainly are some scheme things that you're a little bit more aware of that we'll keep private. But, again, it's always an awesome place to play. You guys have been there. The fans are awesome. It's one of my favorite places to play. Thinking about it earlier today, I played there in 2017, I think, when I was with the Colts. And literally, the game started, there was no snow. And then by the time the game ended, I think it was an overtime game, you literally could not see any field markings, like none of them. Like, that's how fast it came down. And we thought, oh, it's going to be a great day. And the next thing you know, guys are slipping, running around. So it's hard to control it, but a really fun place to play.
All right.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.